Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Ruffman. I am your host, John Ruffman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review, or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. I lost by a whisker. Donald Trump has finally conceded that he lost the 2020 presidential election. Too little, too late. Think about January 6th and all of those people who gathered there to chant and attack the Capitol with the words, "Stop the steal." Think of all of the people who've gone to jail, and I mean people like Rudy Giuliani, who are about to go to jail, who defended the idea that Donald Trump won the election of 2020. This is an important moment in American politics because millions of Americans believed Donald Trump. They believed him, they followed his lead, they went to the Capitol. Not only that, we have election deniers in the Republican Party, including the candidate for the United States Senate in Arizona, Kari Lake. What do they say now that Donald Trump finally concedes that he lost by a whisper? And why is he doing it? Because the court cases are coming fast and furious. And as those court cases come, many of the issues involved will have to do with what happened on January 6th and Donald Trump's denial that he lost the election. Okay, so now we know he lost by a whisker, but he did something so fundamentally wrong in this effort of his to overturn the election that the American people have to consider it in the election of 2024. Can you imagine Donald Trump did not attend the inauguration of Joe Biden? He denied that Joe Biden won the election. He put his own people out front saying that he, in fact, won the election. His election denial has caused, expense, heartache, effort, and lost lives. So I want to be crystal clear today when I say that Donald Trump should not be president of the United States. He shouldn't be president because of what he has done and what he says he will do. Let me talk for a moment about what Donald Trump's position is now. Even as I speak, the question of his going back to court, the question of the special counsel reconfiguring the indictment of Donald Trump, which will be considered, the reality that appeared yesterday that even if they don't go to court, they are evidently going to release evidence that we have not seen about Donald Trump's involvement in January 6th. There are so many issues, so many things which need to be considered, not to mention the fact that Donald Trump remains, to me, a figure who should not be leading the Republican Party, who should not be the Republican candidate for president of the United States. One needs to consider carefully what we are doing less than 2 months before a presidential election. We are not debating the major issues of the campaign. Rather, we are rehashing what happened in 2020. And finally, his concession, which received only token acknowledgement from the press, is something that really is very disturbing. By the way, when I say the press, I mean the right-wing press. I've spent a lot of time listening to the supporters of Donald Trump. And make no mistake, when Vladimir Putin said, I think jokingly, that he endorsed Kamala Harris for president, and that when Donald Trump spoke about and speaks about Comrade Kamala, implying that she is a communist, there is something absolutely obscene about that. And we, the American people, have to stand up and tell him, enough is enough. I listened yesterday to his attempt to explain his economic program to the Economic Club of New York. And all I can tell you is he mixed in all of this other nonsense. And frankly, when he talks about Elon Musk being appointed to lead a commission to create a better financial standing for America, I think, has he lost his mind? Elon Musk is a brilliant man. There's no question about it. But do you put him in charge? I am reminded that the most brilliant man of his time, many thought, was Henry Ford. Yet Henry Ford believed in conspiracy theories. He published a book, The International Jew, the World's Foremost Problem. And slowly but surely, the American people realized that Henry Ford may have been a genius when it came to the creation of the Ford, but when it came to general politics, Henry Ford was a disaster. So it is with Elon Musk. All you have to do is listen to his conspiracy theories. Look how he handles what is now called X, and understand that the last thing you want is Elon Musk next to the levers of power. All of these issues should come up, and will come up, I hope, in the days ahead. Let me point out that Donald Trump has repudiated the 2025 project from the Heritage Foundation. But there is no doubt that that is the blueprint of his administration to come, if there is one. We, the American people, have to understand that there are many black marks against Donald Trump in this candidacy, and it has to be explained to the American people, not just by Democrats, but by Republicans. Whether it's a Liz Cheney or an Adam Kinzinger, whether it is other members of the Republican Party who speak out and say enough is enough, this has to be the message which is conveyed as we approach this election. I must tell you, when Joe Biden speaks of his fear for the future of democracy, I share that fear, because I believe Donald Trump and what he stands for and what he advocates is antithetical to everything that democracy stands for. Now, some of you will say, John, you're becoming a broken record. All you do is blast Donald Trump. Well, let me assure you, there are many other things we should be addressing, from the Ukraine to the Middle East to issues here in the United States, including our border, which are far more important. But if on November the 5th, Donald Trump becomes president of the United States again, that is to say, is elected president, he wouldn't take office till January 20th, we have something to worry about. Make no mistake. So, I intend to analyze these issues as they come forward, and I intend to discuss them with you with frankness and candor. You may not agree with me 100% of the time, but please know that I speak most sincerely. The defeat of Donald Trump is an imperative for American democracy. Oh, I was asked, if Trump wins, will we survive? Of course we'll survive, but we will be diminished. And so, my friends, let us understand that now that Donald Trump has said that he lost by a whisker, well, everything he has said about January 6th, everything he said about Stop the Steal, all the rallies, all the demonstrations, all the politicians whose lives and office he has put in jeopardy, all for his own self-gratification. Enough is enough. It is not too late for the Republican Party, as a political party, to reform itself. I know they've had their convention, they've nominated their candidates, but we need to think seriously about the future of the Republican Party and the future of American democracy. And that means what happens on November 5th will be absolutely critical. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow. That's very important to me, and I want more people to be able to hear and interact with me. So you can go to LinkedIn or to Facebook, and I will do my best to read what you have to say, think about it, consider it carefully. I want to thank Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this program. I will be back on Monday, and that will be the day before the great debate. So much to talk about, so much to discuss, and I'm looking forward to doing it right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman with you. Around the Political World with John Rothman is proud to introduce our first sponsor. That's right, we have someone who loves what we do, and I have to tell you, I love what she does. Be Bold America is produced by KSQD, and of course, the person who leads us through these great discussions is none other than Jill Cody. She's an author, a radio personality, and she does one heck of a job of putting into focus major issues, from protecting democracy to our climate. Let me tell you, the topics on the podcast are serious. It's not for the faint of heart, but that's to say the show is for all of us. Be bold in America. In an election year, what can we do to increase discussion, debate, and the rest? I'll tell you what we can do. Listen to Jill Cody as she exposes all of us to the issues. You can tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else you like to get your shows. So this is John Rothman, delighted, pleased, thrilled to endorse Jill Cody's wonderful program, Be Bold, America.